Hey y'all, Fred here. Thanks so much for joining me today. I've got kind of a fun one to share with you guys. I'm going to give it just a second or two to see if anybody recognizes what this knife is. I'm going to hold my hand right here so you don't see the name. I think the name's under my hand, but I can't even remember now that I say that. This knife is actually not mine. This knife is I don't want to call it a gift. It's a loaner from John, our good buddy John Emerson, who's been with us for a long time. Y'all know him. He's donated and contributed a lot of knives for us to review on this channel. This is still his. It's going back to him. He just was kind enough to send it on for me to do a little review. If you haven't figured out what it is by now, I was correct. This is the Lightning Elite. This is a nice aluminum, affordable OTF knife. A lot of people have reviewed these. He's been around a lot. I've never actually held one. I'm glad to get finally the opportunity to hold it at least and give it a try and see what this thing's all about. Fantastic, well-built little OTF for the money. And the money we're talking about is 30 bucks kind of the money, right? Not the 300 bucks kind of the money. So for 30 bucks, these are probably, and so many people, I mean, even all the way up to, I think, Metal Complex has reviewed this knife and said, yep, for the money, this is still probably one of the best value OTF knives out there that you can buy anywhere near 30 bucks. So we're going to take a deeper look, see the good, the bad, the ugly, as we always do. I'm going to try to go through my faster format, which is what I'm working on here. Y'all let me get feedback in the comments. Let me know if you like this kind of new format, maybe a little bit less structured. I do have some notes that I try to stick to, but I don't do real well, and I try to go kind of fast. So here we go, buckle up. Starting off with size comps, right? Let's do a few size comps. Can't miss, what would a knife review be without size comps? Here's your PM2, in this case an 𝗘𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁 up here, and a pair of 3. You can see this knife is right in between both of these knife sizes. So this is what I'm going to call a very Goldilocks medium-sized knife. I think it's a great size. This is the 𝗟𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁. I'm going to have to pick a different name because a different knife to compare. I can't get this. 𝗟𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁 4-inch folder. In this case, it's the Plague Doctor. Fantastic knife. Go check that review if you haven't already seen it. Big, full-size 4-inch knife versus little tiny Rosie here, which is obviously a not full-size knife. So again, right there in the middle, this is that Goldilocks kind of size in between. Had a gentleman recommend that I show you all of my knives on a dollar bill, because everybody's got a dollar bill. Let me know if there's like a certain set of knives that you think I should wear. I always do the PM2 and the pair of 3. Everybody does those because that's what everybody's used to seeing. But if you got any other knives that you would like, like I used to show, what was it? Used to show against this, the pyrite and a bunch of other knives. Anyhow, I'm trying to speed things up, so I'm not doing a good job of that. There you go. That's what it looks like sitting on top of a dollar bill. Put your knife on top of a dollar bill, and now you know how they compare. How's that work? That work good? All right, let's talk specs. I'm still going to bring up the specs. This thing is right at 8 inches open. The blade's 3 1/4 inches closed. It's 4 3/4 inches. The blade is a really nice 110 thousandths, which is kind of a good Goldilocks size. Not too thick, not too thin. Definitely strong enough. Blade handle comes in at right at a 1/2 inch, which fills the hand beautifully well. This is a satin kind of, will look, I guess, closer. It's almost like a horizontal rubbed satin finish here, and then of course obviously some kind of coating. I'm going to guess this is a paint at best. I haven't worked this knife over too hard, and I think it's relatively new from my buddy John too, so he hasn't put too much use and abuse on it. Don't know how well it'll hold up. We're going to find out. It is a hollow grind. That's worth pointing out. You may not be able to tell that from this video or the lighting. A lot of times you can watch how the light bends when it reflects on the inside of that hollow curve. And anyhow, just so you know, this is a hollow grind. Not incredibly deep, but noticeably deep, right? So that's pretty cool. Handle is made out of aluminum, nice and solid, feels really good in the hand. This is a 440 steel of some type. They don't tell us whether it's a 440A, a 440B, or a 440C. And I have no idea if there's any other 440s beyond that. They just say it's a 440. However, some 440s, like a good 440C, I would say, is actually a really good steel. That used to be the super steels, 10, 20 years ago. That was what everybody wanted their blades in. So they're, don't knock it, because I bet, we'll see. I might put this through the test, and we're going to see how well a 440 steel holds up. That being said, it is a little bit of a softer steel. I did sharpen this knife, so I do know it's a little on the soft side. Anyhow, I have no idea what the HRC rating is. 4.1 ounces makes this, you know, about right dead center average with what most people carry. It's obviously an OTF out the front for 30 bucks. A little thicker behind the edge, and partially because I've grounded as well, which moved that edge back up into the thicker part of the steel. 26 thousandths, however, it's still pretty darn sharp. We're going to look at that in just a minute. All right, we'll go to the closer look part. The handle material, as I mentioned, is an aluminum handle. Does have this kind of rough, rocky, pebbly texture on both sides. That makes it pretty good. Pocket clip is not reversible. That's unfortunate for lefties, and they put it kind of on this side here, and I can't tell if I like it more than I would like it in the center of the handle. I think actually I might like it better down on that edge, which is probably why they did it. They did put 3 screws in there, so it's not coming out. Probably will give you a little bit of a hot spot if you really had to bear down and crunch on that hard. A little longer maybe than it needs to be, but you know what? It's just an average typical old pocket clip. It gets the job done and keeps the knife sitting in your pocket. All right, opening mechanism. This is an interesting thing because I've had a few of these now. I've gone through, right? So I did a review on this knife, the Microtech, and what I discovered is the way they did this button, it's actually sharp. Like if you had to open and close this knife 20 times fast, not only is it hard as hell to open and close, it takes a lot of force to open and close this knife, but this is really rough. I mean, they left the edges, which means it's really grippy. You're not definitely going to slide off of this button, but man, it's stiff as hell and it's rough on your finger. Like you can feel that cutting into your skin. This button to me is perfectly done. That's what I really wanted to say. That's one of the big things about this knife. First, it feels incredibly solid and well built in the hand, right? There's nothing in here that rattles or feels jiggly in any way. It has that 4-ounce weight, which feels nice and solid from a weight perspective. But the jimping on the button, in my opinion, was done just about right. And it's grippy. It's not sharp in any way. It doesn't hurt your thumb to open and close it a dozen times fast, right? The tension on the button, in my opinion, is also equally perfect. It's not as in the other one was, you know, it's hard. It takes, I don't know, 15, 20 pounds of pressure would be my guess to open and close that knife. This is maybe half that, maybe 7 or 8 pounds. Still enough that, you know, a small child couldn't do it. Probably 5 to 8-year-old child could probably open this knife. But, you know, don't leave this knife laying next to your 5 to 8-year-old child. How about that? There's your warning for the day. Anyhow, to me, this is perfect amount of grippiness, perfect amount of tension. I can fire this in and out. It fires consistently. It has that break on it. I don't want to stab that, but like if you stab into something, it has the safety mechanism where it disengages the blade. All you do is flip that sucker back out, and you're good to go again, right? So yeehaw for that. Opening mechanism, I'm going to give that an A+ on that in terms of just ease of use and not being overly rough. Smoothness is great. I mean, this thing, I have fired it, I don't know, at least 100 times now since I've had it, and every time fires in and out, great, no worries. Nice average lockup. So this is the thing. If you don't know this already, when you get these knives, all knives except for some of the new ones that have just come out from Microtech, which cost a hell of a lot of money, they all have blade play. So it's got a little bit of side-to-side blade play. You can see that moving a little bit back and forth there, and a little bit of up and down as well. This one has pretty minimal up and down, which is good because that's where you're actually cutting, and that's where it can feel. So you're not really going to feel this a whole lot. You can feel it moving just slightly on that. I'm going to tell you that's every bit as good, if not better, than any of the other OTF knives that I've had. These all rock up and down, side to side in exactly the same way. This one actually has more up and down motion than the Lightning OTF, which is why, again, this one is one that people say if you want a good OTF cheap, get a Lightning, right? Blade shapes come in a variety of shapes and sizes for this knife. So one of the cool things is they have a website where you can buy these in a variety of different colors and a variety of different blade shapes and styles. You know, it's going to be a high, obviously a drop point blade, so you're going to have to get up high if you want to do draw cuts with it. It's not going to, you know, that's not what it's made for. However, it'll open your Amazon packages no problem at all. That's not really, I think, what this is meant for, but this definitely can handle just about anything you'll throw at it. The 440 steel, like I said, it was a little bit on the softer side. We'll see. I might do the cut testing with it, and we'll see how well it holds up. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of it, but again, 30 bucks for an OTF that at least fires consistently and feels this solid in the hand. you know, you can only get so much for your money out of all that, right? Grippiness, I think, is pretty good. You can see it's kind of ribbed on the top and the bottom, which actually makes this really nice to use and does give it real, in fact, grippiness in your hand, which is something important because there's no kind of blocks or blades or any kind of swoopy things to keep your fingers from sliding down on this. So good texture. I'm going to give this, again, an A on texture for, you know, a big square block of metal that you're holding on to. I think they did a really good job on this. So again, really good stuff all the way around. Ergonomically, no real issues. I haven't done any hard cutting with it, so we'll see, but that pocket clip being in that position might just fit enough into the groove of where my fingers meet my palm that it might actually pass. It might actually not be hot spot at all. Anyhow, overall impressions, I'll bring this thing home. Yeah, if you want to just play with a good OTF knife, a decent, let's call it a decent OTF knife, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, $30, man, go to their website. You can find all different, like I said, colors, shapes, blade styles, etc. These are solid. These are absolutely solid. They'll do anything you want. Let's get sharpness, because, and you would expect, since I sharpened it, you would expect that it's going to cut pretty well, right? So it would be embarrassing if this did not cut, and thank goodness it cuts, so I don't have to be embarrassed, and my buddy John will be very happy with the results of that. Yeehaw for that. All right, there you go. Don't have a lot of negatives on it, you know, other than, you know, the steel may be a little on the soft side. There's a little bit of blade wobble, no more than you're going to get with any other OTF knife, unless you're going to spend like $500 on one. You're sure as hell not going to get it at $30. For $30, this is a good buy. Definitely a recommended OTF. If you just want a fun one to play with that's well built, you can feel pretty confident. It's not going to wear a hole in your thumb flipping it in and out, and it's just going to fire every time with no issues. I would say this is the one to get, man. These are going to be hard to beat. And that's why so many other people have already reviewed these knives and said basically the same thing. If you want a cheap OTF, get a Lightning. That's the way to go. So there you go. I'm going to echo that. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all. As always, let me know if you like this new, faster format. I'm always curious to hear that from you guys. Man, I am knocking this out. 12 minutes and I'm done with the review. That's pretty unheard of for your buddy Fred. Throw me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you like this or if you prefer the slower, meandering style of reviews that I used to do. If you're not a subscriber, definitely join our little band of renegades. Certainly helps me out, but hey, you might get some fun reviews of some knives that you're probably not going to see a whole lot of other places on the web. Otherwise, I love you guys. Appreciate you. As always, be good. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.